Okay, here we are. We're live. And before you let anyone touch your face, stop. So we are going live on Facebook and YouTube. And this is Ageless by Design. I'm Rebecca Chernek and I'm the host. And today we are breaking down regenerative aesthetics the right way. And it's Sunday with Coffey. Okay, for viewers, let's go ahead and get this started. Look, I have been in the automotive industry like my entire career. And frankly, I don't know much about this aesthetics and what's happening in this space, but I'm learning. But here's what I do know, that you have not only got to look the part, to play the part, but you have got to be able to function. You have to have that endurance. You have to have that vitality to win. Okay, so here we have Mary Coffey. She is in the house and she is going to break this all down for us. And we're going to be talking about regenerative aesthetics. And if you will, before we get started, please share a brief background with us.
Sure. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'm a clinical pharmacist. I've been graduated back in 2000 and practiced for about 15 years until I realized that I wasn't really doing much. You know, I felt like, yeah, it was good. I did retail, did long-term care. One day I just woke up. I said, you know what? I want to go back to school and get to the root cause of why people are getting sick. So I went back and got my certification in clinical nutrition and then got my fellowship from the anti-aging and regenerative medicine from A4M. And everything I just woke up, right? I was like, okay, this is totally new. Started my practice back in 2018. We were in Ronaldo Village for about 5 years. Back in 2019, I met Dr. Joe Cleaver and we incorporated aesthetics into the practice, and that transformed my practice tremendously. He is currently our medical director and partner at Boutique Wellness, and he'll be on the show once in a while as well too. He is one of the leading experts in peptides and exosomes and regenerative aesthetics. Leader in pretty much any field that he decides to dive into. But essentially what we do at Boutique Wellness is we incorporate functional medicine, and essentially it's integrating Western and Eastern medicine and applying it to aesthetics for better outcomes and less complications. So we try to get to the root cause of what causes our skin to age.
Well, and that's a biggie because, again, as I said before, you know, we always have to be on top of our game. We have got to not only look the part, we got to play the part, and that is super important. Endurance and performance is the winning combination. I don't care even if it's, you know, real estate or other industries that we're in. Let's face it, it all matters. Okay, got a couple questions for you. First and foremost, what is, and I have the toughest time, regenerative aesthetics and what it's not? Can you explain the difference? Or is there a difference?
You know, a lot of people would argue that PRP is not regenerative aesthetics or PRF. And what are those, right? They're platelet-rich plasma. There's platelet-rich fibrin. There's lasers like Nuvaderm. There's Pladuo. And what's that? Those are plasma technologies. So essentially, it's regenerating and repairing tissue internally. Collagen loss, volume loss, fat loss, bone loss, right? So all of those play into a role of why we start to, you know, have aging skin. So when we say regenerative, it's repairing, right? It's signaling response so that our body can heal on its own. That's essentially what we're doing. So the biggest fad right now is what? Biofiller. What is biofiller? It's not that we don't use filler. We use filler for symmetry, and I think it's important to have volume. There's only so much that a PRP filler can do. But what I'd like to do is explain to the audience the difference between PRF, which is platelet-rich fibrin, and PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. And what we use at our practice now is called Selinus Derma PRP, and we're finding it's serving now as a volumizer. Right. So, and it's the key is to keep those stem cells in place to do their job. Right. So, you know, you can do PRF and I don't want to get the audience lost, but essentially what is regenerative aesthetics? It's the body's ability to heal itself, to repair. Right. And oftentimes they're autologous. They come from our own body. They're not something synthetically made. They're made from, it's not like a hyaluronic acid that's a filler based. It is something that our body makes and triggers a response to heal.
And I think it's really important that folks hear and understand what you're saying about that. That it's made of our own body to help us to restore.
Yes.
And that was something that you pointed out to me, that it's not artificial, Becky. It's based off of, it's in your body, right? And I think it's important for folks to have a better understanding of that. So would you say that let's talk about what is the most popular non-invasive treatment? Would that be it right there? Or what is that?
Well, I would say 1 in 5 people are prescribed a GLP, right? What's that? Glucose-like phosphate. It's for fat loss. And people are losing weight tremendously, anywhere upwards 30 pounds to 200 pounds. And now they're left with muscle loss, volume loss. So I would say, one of the leading or the most popular treatments that people come into the practice for is, hey, I just lost all this volume. My nasolabials, my jowls are dropping and my eyes are hollow. What can you do about that? I just got divorced and I don't like looking at myself anymore. It's time for me to take care of myself. So I would say the most commonly asked for treatments are a lower facelift. What are some things that we can do to build collagen to lift my face back up again, specifically the nasolabials or the jowls? And then we have different modalities. And that's why we do consultations, because not one size fits all. At Boutique Wellness, we stack our therapies. We have products called M-Face that helps muscle. It has high intensity electromagnetic frequency, radio frequency, contracts the muscle, lifts the lower face, removes fat in the submentals, lifts the brow, helps build collagen. So I like to stack that with low, very millimeter of RF microneedling, and then add maybe some laser to help with the skin pigmentations. A lot of people do come in. That's very popular too, with sunspots. But I will say I'm actually seeing a lot of melasma right now, a lot more melasma than I am even the lipofusion or the brown spots. And the leading cause of melasma is what? It's progesterone deficiency. It's hormone deficiency, hormone balancing. Oftentimes it happens during fertility years, and what happens when they had exposure to the sun, and all of a sudden they have all these brown spots on, and it's usually bilateral and on the forehead. And those are also commonly, treatments that people seek Boutique Wellness for.
Well, I do know that you have, a list of treatments that can do an incredible difference. And so I really kind of wanted, what would be the most popular, you think, going on? Now, I don't want to get into a long-winded conversation here. We have a limited time, but I kind of like the hair restoration and what that is doing. I can't even believe that it's here. It's allowing not only the volume or growing more hair, but as far as getting rid of the gray. I don't even understand how all that works.
Well, I can't make claims, right? Because it's not, but we are seeing that 43% of our patients' white hair are turning more salt and pepper. They're turning dark, not black or dark. And really the key is to get to the root cause of why people are experiencing hair loss. One of the leading causes of hair loss is hormone imbalancing, where the testosterone converts to what's called, a lot of people may know this, dihydrotestosterone, DHT. Well, those are molecules found in the scalp, and they block any nutrients from getting into the follicle. As long as there's 1/16 left of that follicle left, in the scalp, we can rejuvenate, we can repair, right? But the key is preparing the terrain. We get the scalp ready. So it's not so much about hair restoration than it is about scalp rejuvenation. Our scalp has a microbiome just like our mouth does, and our gut. Our whole body has a microbiome. So we are improving the microbiome in our scalp.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come in, they have hair loss in the frontal, this area, and in the crown. That's usually hormonal. And that's usually an indicator for me that they have too much DHT. But we also like to do blood work to just correlate those. So unless we get to the root cause of why they're experiencing hair loss, you can do these procedures, they're going to get hair, but then it's going to fall right out again. So people go to Turkey, right? They spend $1,700 to $5,000 upwards, and they stay there for a week. Turkey's beautiful, right? Make a vacation out of it. But then they come back, and then the hair falls off again, right? So another indicator is hypothyroidism, a lack of iodine, or high cortisol. Right. So those are things that we can measure and balance your chemistry as we help with the hair restoration.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit. And okay. I want to, because there's folks here that may be attending or will attend later, and they all think the same thing. Does this really work? Is it a scam? If I do this, if I spend this kind of, whatever the fee is it actually going to work? And so a couple things I'd want to know, what would be the critical questions you should or they should be asking you when it comes to any procedure or whoever that they see?
Yes. I would say, how long does this last? Or how soon will I start to see results? And what does this entail? Like, do you do blood work as well? How invasive is this? And if I pay this, what is included? Is it guaranteed? I would say 99 to 100% of my patients are getting hair. We partnered up with a company called AMP, and we use a device called Nuvaderm. And what it does is it helps prepare the terrain, prepare the scalp to start receiving. It provides a little space between that first and second layer in the scalp. And we do that weekly to prepare the scalp to receive the plant-based exosomes. All the while, we send them home with the plant-based serum that they apply twice a day and the shampoo. So what I would say is, you're not going to expect a hair transplant. You're going to go home with hair. It's a process. It's going to take anywhere from 4 months to 6 months, right? Just like anything else, it took a long time to lose the hair.
Yeah.
If you really want sustainable results, it's a partnership. Right. We work together and you stick it through. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to do it per treatment. I'm like, okay, but I need a commitment. And oftentimes, if you're not willing to do it, I don't take you in as a patient. I can usually tell, if somebody's ready, they're ready to, they've done the research. And those are my favorite patients, the one that has done the research. Look up Nuvaderm, look up Derive, look up who I am, look up Dr. Joe, look at our practice, but don't just make assumptions without actually doing your research. And a lot of what I know, and I don't just tell people what to do, I educate, right? So I want them to know their chemistry. I want them to know what's going on with their hormones. So that, because they're their best advocate. You're just guiding me to tell me how to take care of your health, because we got to get to the root cause of why we're losing hair. And oftentimes it's post-COVID. They go through a phase called telogen effluvium, the hair follicles die, and we got to wake those up again. And oftentimes it's accompanied by brain fog and fatigue, lack of smell and taste. And they've been dealing with it for years, not even knowing that, hey, we have therapy for that. We have treatments for that. And that's what saddens me sometimes, is because people come in for that instant gratification of whatever it is aesthetically, but there's underlying conditions that get them to that point that we have to address.
So I want to talk a little bit about the event that we're going to have. And I was super excited about getting involved because, first and foremost, I want to go ahead and I'm going to share something with the viewers. I want to make sure they see this property, because when I first pulled up, I'm looking at this and I'm like, wow, this is very impressive. And I know you have put a lot of work into restoring the property. So let's first talk a little, if you don't mind, talk about the reason, how you found the property, and some of the history here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So
we started the practice in 2018, and I was in Ronaldo Village for about 5 years. We introduced aesthetics in 2019, and that's when I started to outgrow the practice. We needed more space. Well, we were hosting a Botox and Bubbly event, and it's very nostalgic. You just walk into a place and you just know you're like, I'm supposed to be here, and everything just fell into place. So I rented up upstairs, and now we opened up a wine bar. My partner also owns a winery, and it's called Loconda Wine. So I fell in love with wine. So we opened up a wine bar downstairs because we had the whole downstairs also was a restaurant for a while. We ended up taking that over. So we incorporate now the two where our patients can come and feel like they're part of a whole, part of not just an aesthetic procedure, but they come in and they can enjoy a glass of wine. They can enjoy some fellowship. We're actually going to be open for brunch also starting April 12th, and doing some, fellowship. It is a place of ministry also, and that's really near and dear to my heart. I would say that this is definitely not me in control. I was just blessed with the wisdom and the discernment to know and to get to this place. And it's, I was just following, what God was telling me to do. He's like, well, this is what you do. This is what you do next. And it all just happened and fell into place. And it's so nostalgic, and it continues to organically form. And so I can't wait to share this space with everyone here.
So here you are on the front cover of Forsyth Women, right? And this is in front of your boutique wellness, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it is a gorgeous photo of you, by the way. Very stunning, very nice. So I want to talk a little bit about this event. Again, the event is going to be by invitation only. It's a complimentary ticket, but it's by invite only. And for those that have interest and want to attend, which I highly recommend, if you're in town, you want to be here. You want to meet Mary. You want to meet Dr. Joe if he's available. I don't know, but you want to be here because, firsthand, get those questions answered like me. But the event's going to be Thursday, April the 23rd between 4 and 6 p.m. And it will be located correct at the restaurant.
Yes.
And again, the same property as the boutique wellness. So what topics could they expect that you'll be going over when they attend?
Well, I like to highlight different topics every month. So we'll be hosting these monthly.
Yes.
And our most popular procedures are the biofiller, and that's autologous. That's utilizing your own blood, creating a gel. We spin it through a centrifuge, creating a gel, either with PRF or PRP, and then talking about the difference of the two. Why would you do it, and who would be a candidate for that? I would say we would talk a little bit about that, and I can talk a little bit about our hair restoration and the procedure that goes into that as well. It's easy to talk about longevity medicine, right? And that's a whole nother discussion in itself. But for time, for the respect of time, I would say we would really start discussing, regenerative aesthetic procedures where it involves about helping to volumize the skin. How do I stack different treatments from the different devices we have? So you'll learn a little bit about our M-Face, our body contouring devices. We even have Shockwave, what's actually called Cellutone, that activates stem cells, and we don't even use it. I'm like, okay, we need to start promoting this. Our IV therapy. I'm like, okay, it's hard because there's just so many things, and that's why we started to do this. It's because, yes, I know in a successful practice, you focus on one thing and you grow it. But for me, it's not just about one thing, it's the whole body, right? It's everything. So we have, and it's a big house. We have different rooms where we have different procedures, and we allocate, and we really focus on those different procedures in each room, So I would say, we're going to talk about how we stack all of our procedures to achieve that overall outcome, and how we incorporate preparing the body physiologically for less complications and for better outcomes, right? So that includes hormone balancing, peptide therapy, upregulating receptors so they're not desensitized, managing cortisol, getting you to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night, going to the bathroom every day, hydration, adverse reactions of GLPs, how to wean off of a GLP, or why you could stay on a microdose, how to microdose, and the benefits of microdosing a GLP. So
I like that idea. I'm not quite there yet, but when I'm allowed, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do both. But I think you're right. I mean, you really have helped me a lot along the way. You really have. I mean, you've made a big difference in how I feel. And look, frankly, and so we've been through a lot together. Let's see what we've got. We've got Andrew Pearson. Hello, Beck. Hello, Becky. Thank you, Andrew, for being on today. I appreciate you participating. If there's a man that knows about aesthetics and regenerative aesthetics, I believe Andrew knows some about that. I think he uses some of the traditional methods, but I think the bio fillers is right for me. That is what I want. And I'll tell you, Dr. Joe and me, I can't really wait until we get into the stem cell and where that whole thing is going, because that to me is so darn intriguing. What's happening in that in of itself. And I don't know I don't know the cost associated with that, but anytime that you can do something where it's more natural than not, I kind of like that idea behind it. When it's artificial, it's artificial. So, and
yeah,
just with that, maybe.
Yeah, now we're leaning towards like stromal vascular fraction, where we extract your own like 10 cc's of fat, and you can actually bank it. And I actually have mine banked at American Cell Technologies, and they're out of Florida. And I think it's really nice to be able to have that, because you never know when you're going to need it. When you have like a repair or you have an injury, you just call the lab and say, hey, go ahead and expand it and send me my stem cells. And it's autologous. And I think that, that's the future. I think of medicine, really, it's being able to heal yourself. And so
is Sculptra?
Feeling good. Oh, Sculptra is great. It's FDA approved for biofiller as well. Sculptra works great. You do have to do 3 treatments usually, and you do about 4 weeks apart.
Okay.
Great biofiller.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, some folks just know this stuff inside and out. I am still learning. And I felt like, when we do the event at the Boutique Wellness, I mean, you can really get into the nitty gritty, really helping folks to understand the right methods, strategies, treatments that would work for them. I think that is super cool. So so the way we want to do this, and I want to make sure that you have access to my information. Again, the services through me, when you sign up for the tickets, the VIP ticket, complimentary ticket, invitation only, call me at 404-276-4026. Email me at bchernek@gmail.com. And in addition to that, for those that mention or sign up through me, you may decide to go direct. I'm good with that either way. But if in fact you end up signing through me, you will receive an additional 10% on services. Is that correct? Discount on services.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
and that's massive, people. That's a pretty cool. That is massive. So I hope you take it on. Hopefully you will reach out to me at bchernek@gmail.com. Call me, text me, 404-276-4026. I want you to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe we're going to have some wine. We'll have some cheese, hors d'oeuvres to get us started. But we're really going into the nitty gritty of what this is and what's best for you, right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So I promised Mary that we wouldn't take this too far in, but I also want to talk. I want to go back to what I said earlier on. As you know, I'm in the automotive retail industry, and I've been there like my entire career. And frankly, it wears on you. It really does. And you have got to really be at your best to get those sales. If I could tell you how many times folks have said, I didn't get the deal and I lost it to someone who didn't have anywhere close to the experience that I did, but yet got the deal. I think a lot of times it is because the way your appearance and or stamina, energy, vitality really makes a difference. And so I want to talk to you again before we close about what about that? What about the appearance, energy, and performance? How is that all connected?
Oh, 100%. Oftentimes, people come to me for aesthetics, but unless, like I said, we try to get the body physiologically, stamina, it's mitochondria. So a lot of people now want NAD. What is that? Niacin, adenosine dinucleotide. Everyone wants NAD these days. It's not NAD. It's not
NAD, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, but it's also repairing or preventing DNA damage in our mitochondria. Melatonin is underused and is the only molecule, it's the only hormone that actually protects the DNA of our mitochondria. There's going to be a lot of research on that and MitoQ. So I prepare, like, how do we get your mitochondria to function? Oftentimes it's called mitochondriopathy, right? So we also recommend advanced peptides. It's not just about, giving you things to give you energy. A lot of people, once they're hit menopause stage, they put them on Adderall or Vyvanse or methamphetamine, where we really need to treat the underlying cause of why they're feeling fatigued. And the driving force is usually the mitochondria. So there are peptides, and I don't want to make claims because this is not, medical, so this is just adjunct therapies that we do, such as SS31, MOT-SC, humanin. Those three peptides help repair the mitochondria, in addition to supplementation such as MitoQ and melatonin to help prevent and or repair the DNA or protect the DNA of the mitochondria. And those are some of the advanced therapies that we do, and then helping with brain health, right? So yeah, we need to be thinking, we need to be on top of our game. Same with me. I'm a business owner, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I don't like to fail either, right? But I use it as a lesson. I don't use it as a way like, oh, you know what, I'm a failure. I figure out ways to make it work. So there are peptides like dihexa that increases brain-derived neurotropic factors to help enhance cognition. CMAX, C-LINE to help with, retention, right? I mean, I think that now, as long as you know how to dose it, I actually teach a course on pharmacokinetics on peptides, which peptides are used and where and when to use them, and which delivery system is best for the best outcomes. And I think, incorporating everything, honestly, once you start and you're at your best, there is no retirement. I don't ever want to retire. I love what I do. I love my job. It's not work. If you are passionate about what you do, you're always going to do it. You just don't have to do it. That's retirement to me. So I think people pick up on that, so it's about not needing it. You do it because you love it, because you want to. And in sales, it's about education. It's about sharing what you love. And if you're not in the field that you love, find one, because it's not work. You're just sharing, right? And you're educating. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question. Oh, I lost you.
I forgot. This is why I love this opportunity of having these podcasts and really blowing out these events. I am all for it. I think this is where it needs to go. I don't feel like you have to age until oblivion. I do think that there's other ways, opportunities, and I'm all for it. And so here's what I hope that we can encourage you to make your way to Winston-Salem. Could you give us the, well, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. Well, they could look it up, but feel free to call me, contact me first, and make sure, I'll handle the VIP tickets, complimentary ticket, but it is by invitation only. And I'm telling you, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a great time. You're going to love this event. So thank you again, Mary. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. And I might have one more comment here. Carissa, thank you. Carissa Pearson, I appreciate you being on here as well. If anyone knows, these guys know, they're actually in the, how do I say that, in the movies? they're well, I think Carissa is the producer, and I think, I'm not exactly sure of your titles, but I know Andrew is an actor. Anyway, so I want to, and know how important appearance is. That's for certain. All right, but thank you guys. I'm glad that you were here, and I hope to see you. Is it next Sunday? We'll be on at 2 p.m. Is that right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Every Sunday at 2 p.m.
Okay, and I'll get better at this all the time, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you for hosting this, Becky. Appreciate it.
Great job.
I'm not a rock star. Ooh,